Okay.
All right, Sarah, we're back.
Nicole, what you got for us over there?
Oh well, I was just hanging out doing a little casual reading of our reviews.
They're so good, aren't they?
Okay,
We
I
already have
love
fans.
I love this one. Her name
Mhm.
is You Can't Be Me. I don't know, it's very funny. And it reminds me of Say Anything for some reason. Wasn't there a song in that movie? You want to be me? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't remember that.
um so the heading is so applicable to real life and it's 5 stars.
Oh,
Exactly what
yes.
we want. So
That's what
here's
we
what
love.
You Can't Be Me says. This actually irritates me a little that it's so awesome. It irritates me because I feel like two of my great friends are having a conversation and I don't get to respond or talk with them. Even the episodes I didn't think I would appreciate as much, I was still able to take away little nuggets that just make me appreciate Nicole and Sarah even more. Keep it up, ladies. The world needs this right now.
I love that one. I didn't even know that's the one that you had picked. It's one of my
I love that
favorites.
one. It's one of my faves. And there is actually a podcast where people read bad reviews in very dramatic voices. It's
Oh,
really funny. And
really?
I felt while I was reading that, even though it was a good review, that I was doing it in a very
Mhm.
dramatic
It
voice.
was a little traumatic.
Ah. Do you have one you want to read?
No, I didn't. I wasn't prepped for that. I wasn't. I mean, I can find one. I
Well,
do, maybe people don't know, but we do read them. We read all of them.
we read all of them, and there's 180, and we're still running a promo,
We
actually.
are.
So
Yes.
if you like the show, and I guess
Mhm.
if you don't like it, you could leave a bad review, but we're really hoping for the 5-star
Yeah.
ringers.
If you don't like
Um,
it, just like delete us and move on. Please don't. Please
yeah,
don't be
just
mean.
yeah,
We
just
are actually very sensitive. I would probably cry. So
although with this episode, which is about being a female entrepreneur running a business, we are not allowed to be that sensitive, Sarah.
you can be sensitive and be a female business owner.
Well, I'm
I
not saying give up your feminine, sensitive side.
Let's just be clear. I do cry sometimes.
Let me also be clear. Men can also be sensitive. What the hell? This is
Do you
wow.
know I have to tell you a story?
Wait.
Yes. Oh, are we reading
Leave
another?
leave the
We're
review. We're not leaving one. Leave a review and
Yes.
wait, what?
Subscribe, rate, and review us.
And
Subscribe,
you
rate, and
could win
review.
something. What could they win?
$300 to Skirt Sports to shop our new platinum line,
That's
which is
huge.
awesome.
That's
It's a lot
huge.
of money.
You
It's a
won't
lot.
need any other clothes. Just leave a review.
I
And
mean, maybe you might want to wash them occasionally,
you don't need underwear with
but the
them.
triple pocket tight, you could live in those in winter. I'm wearing them as we speak. So, subscribe, rate, and review us just to any episode, preferably 5 stars. Leave us a great comment. We love to hear from you. And you could win $300 to Skirt Sports. And that's part of why we're talking today, is because we just relaunched the Skirt Sport store, which is amazing.
But not the physical store in Boulder, the
Oh, no.
online store.
Do people still leave their houses in COVID? I'm like, does think people go outside?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very
No, not
confusing time. Be
No,
specific.
not that store. Not that store.
So you go to skirtsports.com.
Yes.
You can shop and it's got a brand new look. I mean, congratulations, Sarah. I'll be honest.
You.
One of the things that, since we're going to roll right into talking about business,
Yeah.
today was supposed to be a way to give people a little eyeball behind the curtain.
Yes. You want to
Yeah.
see, I was thinking about this. I was like, should we call it like up her skirt? Swear to God.
Up,
I was thinking that, like, should we call
up
it up the
hers,
skirt? Behind the skirt?
under
Like,
the skirt.
under the skirt? None of it quite seems right.
Those are
Or
all
behind
different
the
kinds of
skirt. Behind the skirt. Yeah.
behind the skirt.
How about behind the scenes at Skirt Sports?
great.
think
We
that's
just
right.
made it longer.
Not a person.
Perfect. But no, we're not wordsmithers today.
No.
But a
No.
couple things happened just now.
Yeah.
You were going to tell a story and then we had to finish the other thing. And then I forgot what the story is and it had to do with
Yeah.
crying.
I can tell you that story. I'll tell you that story right now because it's actually very funny. So, because we were talking about crying, and I was also telling you earlier that right around my period, there's a couple of days, usually one solid day of either anger or like full on, I mean, just crying. And a lot of times because I talk to my mom a lot, and I'll be crying and I'm like, it's possible my period's going to start tomorrow, Mom, just so you know. And if it does, let's just pretend this never happened. So anyways, that was not one of those days. But so races have been canceled. The entire endurance industry has essentially been disbanded, and we've all been doing virtual races, which, though I am thankful for our community for supporting us, we're as tired of them as you are. I love how it brings us all together, but I think we're all ready for real races. So, everything's up in the air in COVID because really all the races were canceled. So I was working with Amelia Island, which is our biggest race location because it's gorgeous and we finish on the beach and it's just beautiful. The course is beautiful. It's actually, do you know that we've actually been rated or awarded top 20 half marathons in the US for 4 years in a row? There's a plaque back there by Bib Brave.
I did
Voted.
not know for 4
Yeah,
in a row.
I think
I
it's
knew
4
about
years.
one.
No, it's 4 years in a row now, that one. So
You got to hang your hat on those things or your skirt.
I know.
Yes.
Or your skirt. But it's a big race and it's one that's near and dear to my heart, and it's in my backyard. And so I called, we were working on the date, and you have to coordinate the date with the city. And in the city for Amelia Island, there's half of the course goes through Fort Clinch, a portion of the course goes to the city. And so you have to coordinate with all these entities to find one date that they all agree on. Then you also have to ensure that your race management team. So I hire a team of guys that come in, they manage the course, and they're phenomenal. But they have a race on the date that we normally had our race. So we're moving it all, right? Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I was working with the city, and I was kind of getting this answer back of like, hey, it's not going to work this year. And I called the woman, and she just was not very kind to me. And I got off the phone and I literally cried. I cried for like for 5 minutes. Isn't that funny?
Well,
It's
what I
funny to
was
me now.
thinking is maybe
Yeah.
what if you cried on the phone to her? Would that have helped or
No,
hurt your
I don't.
chances?
She did call me back. We worked it out. I was probably being a little dramatic, but I just, sometimes it just gets you, and
Well,
sometimes like you have, and it's
yeah.
hard to, trying to bring these races back in this year. There's a lot of different things we have to do. We have to lock in. And I know that this is about behind the skirt scenes at Skirt Sports, not necessarily Zuma, but there are a lot of different things that we're having to do in order to bring these live events. And as a general rule, I try not to, just outwardly cast to our runners all the things that we're dealing with. That's part of my job as an owner and a race organizer, is to handle the details. So when you show up, you think like, oh wow, this is seamless and beautiful and all of that, without knowing like in the background we were all up until 2 a.m. and this person can't. I mean, that's what we do, right? We love the adrenaline of it. So it's important that we kind of handle those details in the background. But sometimes, especially right now, it's a different world. And so we have to adjust to it. So I think all of that just caught up with me a little bit, and I cried a lot. And then, you know what? I felt great. And she called me back. I had to dry my tears because I was like, oh God, I've got to take this call. And then I was like, hello. She was like, yes, I talked to the police and it's going to be fine. And I was like, thank you so much. So
Tears
that's
came
my
again.
story. Right. So
But I think this is a really good point. What the point is
What is the
is what
point?
is the point? Well, I think part of
Yes.
this is about we want to talk about what it was like to be a female business owner.
Yes.
And I think there's some argument out there that why do you have to put the word female in there? Why can't you just be
Mhm.
business owner? And I see the point.
Yes.
But at the same time, I can only speak to my experience and you can only speak to your experience as
Yes.
women. And so that's what we're going to speak to today. And as
Yes.
women, like you just shared, and like I tried to poo poo, but it really is not poo pooable, is that there are emotions that get intertwined
Yes.
with your business. And part of the
Absolutely.
dance that we constantly run and
Mhm.
work is how to keep our emotions, I wouldn't say out of the business, but to draw
Mhm.
a dividing line between the best decisions for the business
Yeah.
versus the best decisions to make us happy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I totally agree. I agree. It's very important that that happens. And I will say that long ago, I promised myself to live a life of passion where sort of every day didn't feel like work. And it really doesn't even to this some days it feels that way, but mostly it feels amazing because I care. I really care about what we're doing. It's important to me. And that's where I think your emotions can get infused into some of this because it matters. These are other women that we're serving. And I think it's important to note that there are not as many female business owners out there. There are not. I've looked up the stats before. It's just not the same. The ones who are in business don't often reach over a $25,000 a year threshold. So there is something to be said for being a female business owner, a female entrepreneur. There aren't that many of us out there. They're growing, and I know part of my passion and part of yours too is to help other women find what they love and make a business. It can be profitable and you can support yourself and your family um, through it all. So but it's not it's not always pretty. It can look from the outside sort of glamorous and fun and exciting, but there is certainly a grind to it, right? Um for example, the website that we just launched, I spent the weekend building. I literally built our new website. I taught myself how to build things in Shopify, which I've built websites before, but that was not at the hands of a hired help of marketing gurus. That was me and the team building that and setting up everything on the back end just to make sure that it looked like we wanted it to look. And that's how I spent my weekend. So that was
Well,
really
and there's a
fun.
big parallel there between what you were
Yeah.
talking about with Zuma and
Mhm.
what goes on at Skirt Sports. And I think every business owner or people who dabble in the entrepreneurial world are going to see
Mhm.
parallels between what we're talking about, because at the end of the day, we
Yep.
want the customer, the user, to have a seamless experience that brings them joy, happiness, positivity, whatever it
Yes.
is that we're providing. And so,
Yes.
in the case of the website, which I was
Mhm.
going to tell you is something that we desperately wanted to change in the last year, but we were
Mhm.
facing other battles and we said we can't deal with that right now. The
Yeah.
website will live on as it is, and the new owner can take a stab at it. And look at this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
brilliant. And so the point is, we work really hard behind the scenes on all
Yes.
kinds of shit that nobody knows about.
Nobody knows.
And we're
Mhm.
going to share some of that today
We
so
are.
that you can have a wonderful experience in the products and events that we give you.
Yes. This will be
Yes.
fun.
Let's do it. Well,
Let's go up her skirt. Behind the skirt. Just
skirt
kidding.
under the skirt.
This
Let's
doesn't have to be explicit because of that, does it?
let's travel under the skirt. Um, we uh we thought I thought, and I think you agreed, that it'd be really cool to start with the product, because
Yes.
Skirt Sports is about so much more. It's an incredible community. There's a feeling you get when you wear the product that makes you feel like you're
Mhm.
part of something because you are. Um,
Yes.
but most people do not know what really goes into putting together a product line, and you didn't
No,
either. So
I
this is really
didn't.
fun because I
It
think
is.
as we talk them through this process, maybe you can also share some of your surprise moments.
Yes.
So could we start with like the timeline? How far ahead
Let's do.
you start a season?
So, and I would like to say that, even though I am the new owner, really the majority of the team stayed with us. So, which I don't know that this would have been possible without it. Nicole, you've continued to advise, and you give me good gut checks. Sarah Vernon Bruner, who was the president and really who managed the timelines, is still very, very much involved. The development team is the same. Our marketing is the same. It's all the same. The roles have been reduced a little bit in capacity to kind of get everything back up and going, but it's a similar team, which is great because everyone has schooled me hard on how to, make a skirt. So speaking of the timelines, Sarah has been our taskmaster, and she continues to let me know that I'm behind at all times, always. Not like, a day or 2, but like months. Like we should be working on
Ah.
spring 22 right now. So
Mm.
we actually just wrapped up all the design and development for fall 21. So the product that you would see in, um, let's say September, October, later this year, 9 months away, we just finished up all the designs and choosing which styles of skirts and leggings and bras and shorts and all of those things that we will be making. So and then now we're going to start on spring 22, that development cycle as well. So it's a very long lead time to get all of this going.
So what I always loved was people would be like, "Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. Can you make me a red skirt?" And you're like, "It's 2 weeks away."
Yes.
So, over a year is what you're usually well over a year is when you're
Yes.
starting a season. You can't just
Yes.
throw it together. So, there's this perception that you can get products made a lot faster. And there
Yes.
are ways I think to produce faster. We know there
Yeah.
are, but the quality can suffer. And
Yes.
so we want to make sure, and part of the fact
Mhm.
that much of the team is still the same, we want to make sure that the quality remains the same, but that the brand and the product line gets a fresh infusion. So it's a good
Yes.
time to like, hey, you redid the website. It's freaking fresh. It
Mhm.
looks amazing. It's so clean and it's got sparkle to it. It's just awesome. Same thing with the product line,
Yes.
which is so
Yes.
cool.
Well,
Yeah.
what I love is so, and I had no idea that this happened, right? There's an actual trend analysis that goes into this, right? Trend and color analysis. So I don't know if you remember the movie The Devil Wears Prada,
Of
where,
course.
Anne Hathaway laughs at, is it Meryl
Uh-huh.
Streep?
Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's like, that blue. And then Meryl Streep is like so rude to her about, well, how this blue got chosen. Um, and how, she's wearing like the 2 year later cast off of whatever. So that really sort of does happen, right? There's the where you may notice like, oh, well, all of my workout apparel matches my shoes, which matches my jackets. Like there's trend, like right now, green is back in and purple is back in. So the colors kind of come, the whole industry leans towards certain palettes. So when we are building out our what's the word I'm looking for? Our
Seasonal collections.
Yes. They are based on these, trending color palettes. And what's funny, so Nicole, you and nobody can really see unless you're watching on YouTube, but I think there's like 20 people watching us on YouTube. So you can see these colors on, we're designing everything, we're looking at these prints, we're looking at that, and the colors on a piece of paper printed out or on a screen look very different. So we end up ordering these Pantone colors or PMS swatches so you can see the actual color of what's coming in the season. Which for fall, I'm so glad you told me to do that, because we ended up making a last minute change on one of our beautiful blues it was a little too green, and it needed to be a little bit more of this warm, beautiful blue. And so we
Yes.
made that adjustment from seeing it online, and we actually are making a red skirt,
Oh, well, so for Valentine's
ribbon
next
red.
year,
Yeah,
next
so
year's
next
Valentine's.
February, if you want this and we have any left,
Ribbon
we
red.
can sell it to you. It's
You know,
beautiful.
that was one of the things too that I was surprised at how much I loved
Yeah.
was going through the trends and guiding and leading each trend we chose
Yes.
in a way that I felt our customers would most embrace. And I
Yes.
also was surprised at how much I loved the color process. I mean, you
Yes.
basically are becoming a color expert. And I
Yes.
also was so annoyed that every year there'd be like a trending blue, right? And then the next season,
Yes.
6 months later, there's another trending blue, and it's just far enough off that you actually
Right.
can't use the same color. And it was
Yes.
so annoying. And so customers will often ask, like, why couldn't you just keep the same blue? Well, you could, but then you're kind of off trend. And is
Right.
it that important?
Right.
Maybe, maybe not. Like, we're not in a bunch of retail stores anymore, so it's not
Mhm.
like your product is standing out as weird,
Right.
because that's what can end up happening if you're totally off trend. But when you
Yeah.
think bigger picture, like 8 years ago, bright
Mhm.
neon, not even 8.
Yep.
And now it
Also, when I
is
was growing up in the 80s. Yep.
totally, and
Yeah.
they keep recycling,
It's coming
and
back.
now and
I know.
it's like tonal, earthy
It is.
yoga,
Yeah.
in running, and it's a constant, like, small creeps on this
Yes.
color and trend, watch list here that
Yeah.
eventually, over a number of years, form very different looks, but you don't
Yeah.
realize you're creeping to those different
To
looks.
those. What I have certainly found, though, throughout this process is that fit and quality of product, how important that is. So I know you and the team made this amazing switch right before I took the company on, where you had found the dreamiest luxe compression. So this phenomenal compression um, fabric. I literally can live. I wash my, and mind you, I didn't wear sports before I bought the company. And now I'm really mad that I never did, because they fit better than anything. My leggings actually stay on. I'm not hiking them up all day. So so this luxe compression is phenomenal. And then you had also switched out the shorties under the skirts, which had often been mesh, but we had received some feedback that it wasn't fitting. It wasn't, maybe it was scratchy one season. It wasn't a bankable product or a fabric that you could repeat every single year. And so you would switch to this Lux Light, which is just wearable. I mean, it's like wearing, it's like a nice hug all day, but like not like a squeeze hug, like a perfectly comfortable hug. So,
Oh my god, I love it.
but it's so important
Yeah.
that those are fit correctly. And it's amazing, because you'd think, oh, it's just fabric, right? You can make the fabric every single time, but it's custom made. It's custom made, it's custom dyed. And so every time you make it, it has to, it's made by humans. So there are always margins of error, or I mean, it's just we've talked about workouts before, right? Like you can't go out and every time you do a workout, you're not a machine. Um, though these are made by machines as well as humans. So I guess
There's
maybe it should
both
work.
there's
Anyways,
margin. We
I
should
just
talk
got
about the
myself.
margins.
Yeah.
on all of it,
Yeah.
because here's what I learned in business. You will
Mhm.
never be right. You will never be 100% perfectly right.
That is correct.
You will never order the exact number of units. You'll either order way too less and you didn't know that people want it and then they're mad at you, or
Yeah.
you'll think everyone's going to buy this color or print and you order more and then people are like, not so much.
I like
And you
that
got to
one.
put it on sale.
Yeah.
And same thing goes for when you're making garments. So, starting with the fabric, fabric is
Mhm.
a bitch, but I love it. Like, you
Mhm.
are now awash in fabric
Yes,
swatches. I sent the
I
fabric
am.
library that we had built for years. And like, you could literally lay down and shower yourself with all these
So
fabrics
good.
and be like, this one feels great. Well, it's like a 3-inch swatch. You
Yes.
can't really tell until you get a
Yes.
bigger swatch. And then you get some production yardage and then you test it. And
Mhm.
then every batch can be slightly different. And
Yes.
that is why the fitting, like you had mentioned, is so
It's
important.
so important.
And
Well,
can I talk about something
yeah.
with the fitting?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
there is something called tolerance.
Mhm.
So, and I think you're learning this in your first and second season. I learned it within the first couple years. It took me a
Mhm.
while to figure out, like, oh, tolerance can really make and change things. So when you have a measurement, say it's an
Mhm.
inseam, say it's like 26 inches inseam, well, you
Yep.
have to allow the factory plus or minus whatever is reasonable. It might be a
Yep.
1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. Well, 25.5 inches can kind of
Mhm.
make a difference on a leg.
Yep.
So people could be like, well, it's not 26 inches, it's only
Mhm.
25 and a half. And
Yep.
this is where it gets a little bit tough because you're never 100% right. It's
Mhm.
always a little bit gray. There's
It is.
always wiggle room, and you can't expect that kind of perfection, but we strive for it.
Absolutely. Well, and there's even in place. So let's say, we were just discussing, okay, we just picked out all the colors and the prints and all the styles for fall. But spring, we placed an order for spring, I want to say it was in November. And so, and long before that, the prints and the fabrics had been in development. So now here we are in January. We're through our second round of fittings. So there are multiple fittings. So let's say a happy girl, right? So, because you've been fitting these still, Nicole, because no one else can do it quite like you. And so Nicole will get the happy girl this year. Now we've made the happy girl for years. But every go round when we make it, whether it's in a new fabric or just a new round of it, has to be fitted typically up to 3 times, right?
Correct. And on a couple of base sizes.
Hmm.
So that's the other thing, is that I'm a size small. So I'm fitting because I know the product so well. I'm going to keep
Yeah.
fitting for as long as I need to. And then we also have a large and a 1X who fit
Hmm.
as well,
Yeah.
because when you do the grading, grading is another
Hmm.
thing. People are like, what's grading? Well, grading is when you take a measurement on a size small and you subtract a
Yep.
little bit of each measurement, and that's your extra small. You add a little
Hmm.
bit for medium. But when you start grading, you can't take a size small and grade a 3X off of it. The
Right.
measurements change. So you need to have another base size in there. So it
Yes.
is quite a process.
It is. It is. There are multiple fit, and that's just one style. So let's say that season, so in spring, sneak peek. Right, let me make sure I'm getting all the styles right.
Yes.
So in spring, we're offering Gym Girl Ultra, Happy Girl. We have the Jaguar coming back, Cascade, Hover, and Jet. Do we have Hover?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that for
and Lotta
fall?
Breeze skirt.
Oh, yeah.
So there are, and that's, I'm not even hitting the skirt with leggings categories. Um, all those styles have to be fitted 3 times and in each fabric. So if we
Correct.
have a specialty fabric, which we do, 2 of them in our upcoming spring summer collection, those also have to be fit. So there are a multitude of fittings that are occurring on multiple sizes. And then we go through rounds of comments of like, okay, get this to fit right, get this to fit right, that sort of
So,
thing. So, yes,
Sarah, I have to tell
yeah,
you a fun fact.
yes,
The most fittings we've ever had on a style,
yes.
I think were 8. It was for the
Oh
Gotta Go
goodness.
skirt with the trap door
Oh yeah, you
that
got to
we
get
did
that
on that
trapdoor right.
Kickstarter. Yes, 8. Literally, the factory was like,
Wow.
"I'm going to kill you," and then it just pushes back and delays your shipment and all that.
Yeah,
So we toe the line behind the
yeah.
scenes of deciding, does this fit perfect enough that we can go to
Hmm.
production? Because if
Yeah.
we say we need one more round, it could be another month. And
Yes.
just to let everyone know, a factory doesn't go style by style. They may take your entire line and wait for one extra month because of
Right.
one style that had a little tweak. So
Yep.
it's a really fine line that we toe behind the scenes of like getting it as perfect as we can, but also getting things in a timely manner. So we always
Hmm.
want to have it be perfect. But as
Yeah.
we said at the beginning, you're never perfect. You're never right. So you
No.
get it as best we can and
Yeah.
just try to keep moving.
Yes. And I really believe, Nicole, that I mean, you are an elite athlete. And so you have always needed clothing that supported your training. I mean, that's how you founded this. And in many ways, you created a category where there was none. So skirt sports, as I've learned, is so much about supporting your performance as an athlete. Now, I know plenty of women wear skirts and leggings for things like lounging around the house, going to school or work or whatever that is. But you have been so detail oriented in how does it fit, how does it perform, and that's been a really cool thing to come into. There's no way my skill set is not one of coming into like I'm not a business founder and I'm going to live the dream and my passion and create this and I'm like a come in after all the hard work has been done. Get all the learnings that I can, you know, and build upon it on it from there. There's no way that I could have come into this without all of the knowledge and the testing and the passion about that you had for building a brand that supported women in their athletic performance. And to me, I see that you may not know that because you lived that, but I see that, coming in from the outside, how important all of that is and how important it is to continue that on, that we cannot put the rubber grippers in the happy girl, but they must stay in the lioness. I mean, just the little details that go into everything. And I mean, even down to we're making decisions on thread color.
Mhm.
What thread color is it? Every
On
single
every
decision.
seam. Oh my
Exactly.
god, of every
We
garment.
Yes, and we have a team of experts that support us in that. And I know you leaned on Heidi and her team, and I do the same as well to make and we have to decide what zippers, what draw. I mean, that we got a drawstring on the lot. What was it? The Lotta Breeze
Mhm.
skirt.
And it had
That
those weird ends.
yeah, you were like, get this out of here. We
I was
can.
like, "What are these things?" But, like, there's tiny details on every
Yeah,
product that really do make the big difference. So,
yeah.
seam you talked about seams, seam placement. I mean, these are
Mhm.
women's bodies. We
Right.
have curves. We are soft in places.
Yeah.
We wanna make sure that seams don't rub and that
Mhm.
I don't know what the right word is, like, they kinda flatter. So, the placement
Yes.
of the different pattern pieces also becomes
Mhm.
really important, and things like where you put a pocket.
Yes.
You want it
Huge.
where it's not gonna bounce, but also where it's not
I
gonna
know.
stick out and make your thigh look bigger, and, it
Yes.
needs to be just right.
Yes. So I have to
Damn.
tell you, on the Pocketopias and the triple pockets,
Yeah.
the side pocket that I can put my phone in, I don't now when I wear other capris that I have, that I try to put my phone,
Yeah.
trying to put my phone in. There's no
Yeah.
pockets there, or
No.
it won't stay up because the elastic is not right at the top or something along those lines. Like, it's just very funny. I can't even believe when I put my phone in those that it doesn't move. Like, it doesn't, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It's not bulky. I'm like, what have I been doing all this time?
Well, now
And I
you
don't
own a
want to wear them.
company.
Well, now I know. I'm like, oh, it's like slowly dawning on me. I've been so in deep, trying to keep this company going amidst COVID and a number of life changes and homeschooling my children and, Zuma owning that company, but the entire endurance industry just like, you know, got turned on its head. So really just now, I mean, what are we, 5 months in, kind of starting to surface and be like, oh, well, my company made this. My,
So, Sarah, I have to tell you, like, you're not giving yourself enough credit too, because yeah, you might not have had the technical knowledge on how to put a product line together. Well,
mhm,
you're learning it, but one
yeah,
of the best qualities or the qualities of a great leader is to be able to recognize the areas that you need to dig into and take on and actually do versus the
yeah,
areas where maybe you just need to know enough to give the guidance that's important for you to
mhm,
give. And then you need to attract and develop a beautiful team that can support
yes,
you with your vision. And that's what I felt like when we came together is
mhm,
you may not again know the technical details of like why we put pockets where we put them, but you're bringing a fresh outlook in so many different ways to the product line, and you're questioning things that need to get questioned because when you do it for 15 years you start
mhm.
to think it's the only way to do it.
That's
So
true.
you are rocking, and I am so impressed by how fast you're learning. You stopped saying pattern for prints
Right.
a long time ago. And like these are things that you just have to
Yeah,
keep retraining yourself,
you
right?
do. You do. Yeah. Well, and it's been so much fun. And I will say the skirt sports community has just really lifted me up along the way. I just have been um so impressed and so thankful with of the support and some of the understanding and the forgiveness. I mean, we had launched a pre-sale with our ambassadors long before this line ever came out, and we crashed the website. I mean, it was
Immediately.
down
It was like down.
immediately.
They were like, get it up now. I'm gonna
I know.
miss out.
It was bad. It was bad. And it was a tough thing to swallow because I had spent lots of time with that with our developer and things like that on getting that right. But that mistake, if you want to call it that, was it was with a group of women who support us. They love us. Our ambassadors do love the brand. So they were willing, I think, to be forgiving with us on that. And then because we crashed that, I was like, well, we need to rebuild this website. And we have. And actually, now when you order, you can sign up for text alerts. So whenever your shipment gets made, you can get text messages that it's coming to you. You get an email immediately. What your face
I
is
didn't
like,
know that because I haven't been
yeah,
ordering it. You've just been sending it
I
to me.
know.
Thank
Well,
you.
you get free stuff, whenever you need it. So, or whenever you want it.
Everyone
Um,
heard that. It's on the record.
Yes, always, never ending supply. Um, but the capabilities of the website are the back end of it. It actually looks somewhat similar to what you guys had before, but the search capabilities and the links to the menus and all of those different things are different. And I think really it helps support a better consumer and customer experience um, throughout the whole journey. And so, and I know you and I have, we're about to reach the end of our time. So I know we want to wrap up and we always have our takeaways, but I want it because part of the reason we're doing even this episode is someone had made a comment or maybe messaged us on an email and said, "Hey, I'd be interested in hearing more about the behind the scenes of being a female business owner." And we wanted to talk about skirt because it's fun to, talk about the development, and people always ask us and things like that. But you know, you hit on something. If you want to be if you want to be a business owner, there is a certain level of adaptability and reading the current scene, that you have to be okay with. And as a type A personality, I have not always been okay with that kind of a thing. When I was at Disney, that was part of where I would get a lot of feedback of like, why are you so rigid in your approach to things? Because I sort of would lay down my plans and I'd be, well, this is how we're going to do it. And if we somehow strayed or there was a different opinion, I wasn't okay with that. And so then in my journey as a leader and an entrepreneur, I realized you literally can't control really anything. The only thing you can control is to be prepared for the fact that everything's going to change and that you can read the situation. And if you have built a good team, like you're saying, you guys can adapt to whatever's happening. We can say, you know what? No one likes this certain print that we made. Like, I won't probably cry about that if you don't like a certain print, but it would be our job then to adapt and say, okay, well, how do we get this product, moving so then we can get another print in that people do like? Or if, our fit is off because the stretch in the luxe compression was a little extra. Well, we certainly want to make sure we have good customer service. So, you change your focus from selling the product to servicing and saying, I want to make sure you had a good experience. How do I make things better, for you? And we fix it for our customers. So as a leader, I think it's important to sort of always be adaptable, lean on your team for the things. And for a long time, I didn't have a team. It was just me doing it. That was also exhausting, but the passion, kind of pushes you through and you become the difference I think that happens when you become an owner is that you become sort of a jack of all trades, master of none, right? You have to like get your hands,
Yes.
I see you shaking
You're a
your head.
generalist.
You you have to. You're almost like
Mhm.
you're like the hub of a wheel. Your job is not to know and be an expert at every single thing. Your job is to trust your gut, read the business situation and react accordingly. And then bring in marketing when you need to, or bring in product development, or bring in customer service, and like be the hub at the center of the spoke that brings everyone together. You problem solve, right? All day long, I problem solve. And on the weekends, I build websites. So,
And I think, here's what's the beauty of skirt sports is
mhm.
that there is a hub and then
Yeah.
there's the layers, the concentric, the not concentric, the circles around it. You've
Yes.
got your internal team
Yes.
and then you have your community. And
Yes.
it's like I realized long ago that if I didn't bring the community into part of the process,
Yeah.
I would do a disservice. I would just be
Mhm.
making things I liked and maybe my team
Yeah.
liked, but who knows if everyone would like them. And so when
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier, the beauty of the feedback, well, it's not always beautiful.
Mhm.
Our community can be very outspoken in a bad way, but not
Yes.
bad. I'm saying in a way where they need to make sure their voices are heard. And if
Exactly.
we are doing the right job, we will listen to those voices. And
Yes.
anytime a negative situation appears, it's an opportunity to turn it all around again.
It is.
And that is what I've seen you do again and again and again with both
Mhm.
Skirt and Zuma now that you're running both
Yeah.
organizations. And I think it's something that everyone can relate to
Yes.
listening. And also the
Mhm.
fact that everyone listening, hopefully, is a Skirt Sports owner of something, and that
Something.
we want you to know that you are part of this company beyond being a customer. You are
The
the reason.
family.
You're the
Yeah.
reason that Skirt Sports exists. Without you,
Yeah.
we don't have a company. We want you to be part of it in a bigger way than
Absolutely.
simply visiting the website and buying something. So,
Right. Well, when you look at some of these, you go into a Dick's Sporting Goods, you don't, there's not a name or a personality associated with that. There's not, you know, you don't get that. This is a family that, this company was built on your passion, on your desire to create something new, and you generated and created a community along the way of other women who wanted to stay active and who that was such an important part of their life. And I want to say, we did put out we put out a few prints to our community to get their tests on it. And because of the feedback, which was not positive, it was they didn't like it at all. We actually are bringing back one of the most popular prints this fall. I won't say the name, but I'll tell you it's going to be awesome. So,
I want to say
um,
it so
I
bad. No,
know.
you know what? We should have people guess.
You
Let's
should
put out
guess.
let's
Yeah.
put out
What
some
do you think it
okay,
is?
comments.
I think it is.
What do you think
Well,
the
and
print is gonna be?
Nicole, we are actually working on a way to reproduce some of the favorites of the
Cool.
community, some of the favorite prints, find a way to bring them back quickly. So, and I know, you know, for me, being a business owner and helping other women along their journey is important to me. It's a huge piece of what moves me. So I know we'll be doing other conversations around this. But I did want to mention, speaking of that, in sort of a mentoring way, is one thing that I think you're good at that you've really taught me. And you're actually, I would consider a mentor to me as well, in a way that I've always sort of been looking for someone to support me and mentor me, but I've never really I just could never find it. But you have really shared with me the importance of finding mentors along the way, finding other women um, who support you, who get you, who hear you. And I don't feel so alone, you know. I might start crying if I keep talking.
I'm writing down our takeaways because
Oh shoot, we have takeaways.
no, this is like one of them. This is amazing. Um,
So, but you're so good at that. When we first started talking, you were like, "Well, yeah, I talked to my good friend blah blah blah, who's the founder of blah blah blah." And like you had six people that you could speak to about the things you've been going through and that you had connected to. And I was really jealous. I was like, "Oh, that must be really nice to have." And then I feel like I've sort of found that in you. Um, we don't have to meet regularly. We don't talk, but when I need something, I know I can come to you and you're like, yeah, you're right. You're wrong. Like you'll tell me like it is. And so I just think that's a really important thing for people to find, for women to find
yeah,
as
it
well
is.
along their journey. So we should do our takeaways, right? Because
Oh my
we're,
God, that was amazing though. Well, I have three really good takeaways and you can add to them
yeah.
if you want.
No, I love that our takeaways have morphed. Like they're
Now I'm doing
originally
them.
because but it's so good. Takes the pressure
Well,
off me.
I would
Okay.
never do takeaways beforehand, but if they bubble up, they bubble up.
They
I mean,
do,
that's how
right?
it rolls for me.
I know. All right. So tell me what your takeaways are. I
Well,
want to
my
hear this.
first one is you'll never be right, but you can get close. And what that means is you've got to give yourself some grace and and allow yourself to not be right all the time. But you can
Yes.
get close.
Well, and to be successful in business is not about being right. It's not about the right decisions. It's not about the right print. That's part of where I would get really hung up like, oh my gosh, what if this is not the right print? And it's not, it doesn't have to be exactly it. It's
Mm-mm.
the fact that we're continuing to produce these quality, awesome skirts that, you don't have to be exactly right. But by continuing to do what you do, you are running your business.
It's true. And, I would add on to that you need to become comfortable in the gray.
Ye-
Black and white
Yeah.
don't really exist. Just get comfortable in the gray. Might be dark gray, might be
Yes.
light gray.
Yes.
And that will help you be happier, I think.
Yes.
My next one is very simple. It's all about the details and
Mm.
pockets. And Sarah, you don't have to go as crazy as us. I think we made a style with 8 pockets one time. Let's just
Oh
say
yeah.
8 is too many.
It's too many. It's too many.
And my third one is what we were just talking about. You are not alone, but you have to put yourself out there
Mhm.
to not be alone.
That is true. And I will say you're much better at that than I am. I am learning. That's actually part of the journey of the podcast together too, is I am getting more comfortable, but I am not good at sort of putting myself out there. But I have noticed by every time I do that, the community that you have built has continued to rally around me. And I know we're talking about skirt, but Zuma, our community there, the two of them have melded very well, and just such an amazing group of women um, who support these businesses and want to see us succeed.
Yeah, because they know it's about more than the skirt and it's about more than the race. It's about the
Yeah,
journey.
it is.
So
And
that's
I
it.
would like to add one
Oh,
more
yeah, bring it.
takeaway that we didn't really touch on, but it's something that once I read about it, I have applied to my life for a very long time. And I read an interview, was it Sheryl Sandberg, who was the CEO of, yeah, what is, I feel bad. I should know this. She wrote Lean
Uh,
In, like,
yeah, not
what was it?
Yahoo,
It,
Google, Yahoo,
what?
eh, uh,
It's terrible.
uh,
Somebody leave us a comment in the comments.
Microsoft. Like
It
it's
was
so
something
many.
really important. I
Duh,
feel
we
really
should know
stupid.
this.
I'm gonna
We're
look it up.
ridiculous that the most powerful female, business leader. We can't
Yes, I
figure it
can't.
out. Okay, bring it
No.
on.
But what she said, because she was a mom and she was running this high power company, and um, I think it was her. Good God, I'm going to look it up and we'll put it in the notes. But when asked about how she was successful in her business, she said she ruthlessly prioritized. What is it? Did you look it up? Just saw your face.
Um, Hold on. She's a billionaire.
Oh,
1.8
good
billion?
for her.
Wow. She's amazing. Facebook.
I mean, really? Did we really just do that? She's still what at the
And Google?
I feel like the I
Prior to
feel like
joining Facebook, she was VP of Global Online Sales and Operations at Google. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Okay. So Sheryl Sandberg, she talked about ruthless prioritization. Now, as I'm reading this, I don't know that she meant it the exact same way that I do, but ever since I read that, I took it to heart. And so as a female business owner, never do I get through my entire task list for the day. I don't like that. But I have to sort of ruthlessly prioritize my day every day, right? So, what is it that has to be done today? What has risen to the top as an absolute priority? You know, throughout the day, those things will continue to get prioritized. Where does my family fit in? And where do I cut out the things that just can't matter? Which is a little bit like you'll never be right. You don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to do every task 100%. The key is that you get the majority of things done and you move your business forward every single day. And that is, I think, a key point of if you're trying to accomplish your task list every day, which is probably 99, things long, you're not going to get there. You have to look at what's happening and prioritize and then get your day done and then start over the next day and look at what's most important. So that's just even though we didn't really talk about it, it's a takeaway that I wanted to share. That's been important to me. So anyways, that's it. I'm good.
Awesome. Nailed it. Well, I think our prioritization now is to get back to
Yes,
work
it is.
and stop chit-chatting about how to run a business and go run a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go run around.
You are? Great.
Yeah.
Can
Sound
it get
good?
faster? It does. So I would like to say, if you haven't already, go check out the new website, skirtsports.com. If you have comments, suggestions, send them to us, info@skirtsports.com. Look at the product. Just so you know, it's taken a really long time to get it there. And we have tested it and tried it out just for you.
And
So
it
if
is
you're a skirt lover, you know what you love, you know what fits you. The same product, the same quality of product is there. If you're new to skirt, go check it out, try it. I swear you're going to love it. And if you don't, let me know. We'll get something figured out.
And since there is no discount on the website anymore, we have a special one just for you on this
Me
podcast. Use the
too.
code NEWSKIRT20 for 20% off. That goes through March 31st, but you can only use it one time.
Yeah.
So load up, put 6 things in your cart or more.
Yep.
And nailed it.
Let's say the
Done.
code again though, just in case.
Yeah. New skirt 20.
New skirt 20. It's not
Not
very easy.
nude. Not nude.
Not nude.
New NEW skirt 20, not under the skirt, up the skirt, behind
None
the
of
skirt.
that.
It is new
No.
NEW skirt
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I think we're done.
We
Are we
are.
done?
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode. All right.
Over and
Peace
out.
out. Bye.